Hello, everybody, and welcome to Spiritual Journey Podcast. My name is Nimesh, Radia, and I'm your host. I always love starting every episode by saying thank you. I feel so blessed with this podcast and everything I get to do, guiding people on their spiritual journey. When I started this podcast, my intention as a passion project was really to guide people on their spiritual journey, share whatever knowledge I have and we have, and really to hold people space as they go through transition into simplified spirituality. And I love the messages we get on a weekly basis, kind of just confirming that's what this podcast does. So thank you for everyone that's supported and is a regular listener. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. And I also want to thank my guides, especially Sidra, who was in the human realm, is now one of my spiritual guides. She inspired this podcast. It has her initials. And also today we're recording. My dad is also one of my angelic guides, and he would have been 100 today on this realm. So I feel a lot of love around me, a lot of love inside me. Also recording this episode with my buddy, as we call each other, my friend, my business partner, the one who nudges me along, and sometimes it's a pain, but it's all good, Stacey. But yeah, just introduce myself. I'm an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, and spiritual coach and mentor. And I leave the spiritual coach and mentor bit at the end because that's really what I love to do. I love to open people's Akashic records. I love this podcast, but the mentorship program really allows me to hold people's space while they go through transition. Beautiful when me and Stacey work together because we offer it jointly or individually. But the program really does guide people to shine a light on themselves, to release the layers that we're holding on to, the going through aha moments, understanding what we've been through in this journey, the karma that we're holding on to. And when I see the sparkle in people's lives, when they're going to get that awakening of who they are and why they've been going through certain things, and to accept such a beautiful, beautiful experience. We channeled that program through the Akashic Records. If it's something you want to find out more about, then book a discovery call. You can book a joint discovery call. You can book an individual one. All the links are available in the show notes. But yeah, this podcast wouldn't be where it is today without my beautiful co-host and introducing the amazing, the stunning, the hero extraordinaire, and now published author, Stacey Brown. Stacey, I've got to do that, right? So, but thank you for being here with me, sharing the space, and I'd love for you to introduce yourself in your own words.
Thanks, buddy. It's good to be here again. Friends, my name is Stacey. I am really in love with the process of doing this podcast and using our voices to impact people who are on their journey and might have questions along the way. This just feels like such a beautiful space, and I feel honored to be here. And I, too, am an Akashic record reader. I'm also an intuitive. I do readings for people from around the world. And I am a spiritual coach and mentor as well. And I get really fired up when I listen to Nimesh talk about the work that we do, because it reminds me of the excitement that we share when we have clients together and we get to work together. And we've helped people in some really big ways. And it has been an honor to be on this journey these last several years with you. So it's fun. We get to work together in a couple of different ways. And I just want to say I feel super blessed because this bond formed several years ago now. And we've continued to stay committed to each other and to our listening audience. So it's exciting to be here in this space today and get into this topic. I'm really looking forward to it. Oh, and I also published a book. My book is called Journey to Soul Center, Discovering the Gift of Surrender. And I've been sharing it with people recently in my local community. I happen to have a couple copies of the book here at my home. And I just felt prompted to give the book to a couple people in my community. And it's reignited the fire to want to spread the word. So if you haven't checked out the book yet, please do. It's available on Amazon and Audible. Anyway, that's a little bit about me. Nims, really looking forward to getting into it today.
Thank you, Stacey. And yeah, if you haven't listened to Stacey's book, I'd highly recommend it. I actually probably enjoyed. Actually, I did enjoy listening to it more than reading it. It's just she has a powerful way of taking you on a journey and making you feel like you're there next to her. So I would definitely recommend the Audible version. Stacey, putting you on the spot. I know you have some Audible copies also available. So maybe to the first couple of people that reach out to you, we can send them links to the Audible copy. Just saying, putting you on the spot a little bit. But hey, I can see you nodding your head. So, I always talk about this podcast and the fact that we don't script anything. We like to sometimes pick topics in advance, but a lot of the time we will pick a topic before we start recording. Really just feeling the energy. And, right now this topic feels really appropriate. And I'm sure whenever it's released, it'll be the perfect time. And there you go. As I say that, I look at the time and it's 5:55. So there you go. If you ever needed a confirmation, that's the greatest confirmation. So today we're talking about the in-between, becoming before you arrive. Now, it might sound like a weird title, right? The in-between, becoming before you arrive. What are we talking about? It just feels like right now we're all going through some sort of transition. And we're all in this kind of in-between phase where we know that things are changing. We know that the planet's changing. And I talk a lot about it here, right? I feel like the next 12 months, and a lot of spiritual teachers talk about 2027, but the next 12 months feels like it's going to be super transitional for the planet. The planet is shifting from divine masculine to divine feminine, and it's at a weird transitional phase. Everybody can feel something. So that something, and it's like when you look at it individually, we all know that, hopefully most of us feel like we're going through a shift, right? And what does that shift feel like? It does feel a little bit kind of unbalancing, unsure. And so it's this phase that we've shifted from who we were. We've shared so many layers. We've gone through so many cycles, and so we've changed so much. So however we identified ourselves previously, we don't relate to anymore. But I always tell people to focus on the moment. But we are in this transitional phase, and who are we becoming? But we're in that weird. It's like, it's like we're in a cocoon. We're in a gooey mess. I feel like our angels are protecting us more. We're in a gooey mess before we become the butterfly. And it's just all the clients and all the people I speak to recently, I'm sure Stacey can relate, because we were talking about before, everyone feels like they're in this in-between state. It's not a bad thing, but it does make us feel uncomfortable. It's like sometimes it gives us the urgency of, I want to find out what's coming next. I want to, and it's just, and our guides give us glimpses of what's coming, and maybe, but it's like this phase is sacred. It really is. We're going through this rebirth. We're being reborn, and it's such a beautiful time. But if we're to be honest, it really does feel uncomfortable. But the shift that we're going through, the shift the planet's going through, is needed. But if we're honest with ourselves, however the planet needs to shift, it's going to require some time, because the divine masculine, the egos of the world, we've created such an interesting phase for this planet. And if all of that's going to shift for us to truly lead from the heart, it's going to require some of these things and these egos that we built up to shift and change. It's going to require a lot of change on the planet, and it's going to feel uncomfortable for the planet, but it's also going to feel uncomfortable for us. But what if we could embrace this period, the in-between? And do we need to create an identity for this in-between? Well, we need to kind of stand in our power. We need to meet the universe halfway. We need to. So, if you're in this phase when you're waiting for whatever's coming next, it's that waiting that's going to stop anything new coming through, because You have to embrace and accept who you are in this moment before you focus on whatever's coming next. So as we begin this, and I know I've kind of introduced it quite a long way, but as we begin this conversation, I ask you to embrace this uncomfortable part of you, this part of you that's a good mess in the cocoon. Embrace it, love this part, and stop waiting for anything. Because the only control we have is this moment. So embrace this moment, the magic, the beauty of this moment. And Stacey, as always, whenever we talk about something, I'm sure you can relate to what's happening in your personal life, because we were talking about this topic before we started recording, and this title is really where Stacey's at, right? It's that the in between. She knows that she's moving to the UK, or at least getting the visa. I feel like it's going to come through, but I thought it was going to happen sooner than it is, but it's not happened yet. So she has had to create that identity for this in between phase. Had to accept it, had to embrace it. I know, Stacey, you've talked a lot about in this podcast, but for me, this is from a different perspective. This is really about talking about the identity you've created in this phase. And I'd love for you to talk about this in between phase. How do you feel about it? How uncomfortable? How have you embraced it? Anything you want to share? Please
It's
do share.
been really uncomfortable. I just want to
I'm
say
sure.
that to start with, it has been really uncomfortable. And there was a lot of resistance for me in being in the now, because there was a conflict in feeling like if I accepted what is now, then maybe I'm no longer reaching for what could be or what I want, and that I would be settling in some way. And this part has been really uncomfortable. So for those who don't know, I have been in a very long distance relationship for 2.5 years. And I've made the decision to apply for a visa so that I can spend more time in the UK. And I'm at a crossroads right now where there's no timeline for an answer. And I've had to get really comfortable being uncomfortable. And I know that sounds probably strange to say that, but I've had to really bring myself to a space of this is what is. And how am I going to care for myself right now? Like, what do I need right now? And it has been a lesson in being present, not thinking too far forward, because my friends, I feel like naturally I'm just 20 steps ahead. I mean, Nims, you know this about me. Barney knows this about me. Everybody who's close to me knows this about me, right? Like I worry.
Yep.
I anticipate, you know, and so to be in the present moment and to be focused on that moment and accepting of that moment has not been the easiest thing for me to do. And I have had to figure out how to navigate that. And I believe for every single person that thing that you need, like that routine that you need, those things that you need to fill your soul, it's a very individual process to explore what those things are. And I spent a lot of time being upset that I wasn't where, you know what? I'm still upset about it. There's still part of me that's upset that I am not where I thought I was going to be right now. And that I'm still in the in between. but I'm doing everything I can to manage that in between, Nims. And a huge part of that is about how I'm showing up for myself and what I'm like, how I'm filling my time, what I'm doing with my time, who I'm surrounding myself with. All of that matters right now, even more than it normally does, because I feel like in this in between, I'm extra sensitive. Does that make sense? Like that I would,
Yeah, yeah.
I
It makes a lot of sense.
just the feeling of being extra sensitive to everything that's around me and knowing that I have to somehow have control of how I'm showing up in the world, right? And the way that I can do that is making sure that I'm in that present moment and I'm focused on what's happening right now. Like for me, I've had to boil it down to being not just in the day, but in the actual activity. Like right now, I'm recording a podcast with Nims. I've got to show up and just express myself in the best way that I know how. And I focus on that because if I start thinking about those 20 steps ahead, I get myself even more worked up about something that I have no control over. And I think this has been a season of me learning to surrender over and over again in order to be okay with where I am right now. This is not what I expected. And I know a lot of people can relate to that. This is just not at all where I thought I was going to be in this season of my life. And the in between can feel super isolating. And I'm sure people can relate to that as well. That time can feel like you're the only one in the world who has ever experienced it. And how are you possibly going to get through it? But I assure you, the way I'm getting through it is absolutely dialing in on the things that I know fill my soul. And through the summer, with my daughter home, I spent a lot less time writing. And for me, friends, writing is a way for me to hash things out in a safe space and express my gratitude and work on manifesting the life I desire. And I really had distanced myself from that daily practice through the summer holiday. And I've gotten back to it. And wow, is it making a difference? So there's things like that that I'm doing that are just helping me to feel like I can get through this. You know, I can offer myself words of encouragement in my writing. I can dream in my writing. I can focus on my gratitude. What do I have right now? Right? What did I long for a year ago that's in my grasp right now? And it really shifts my perspective. So, Nims, I'm probably making it sound simple and it's not, because it's taken me a really long time to get to this place and I'm still a work in progress. There are still days where this in between is horrible, right? And I let myself feel
I'm
it.
sure. I'm sure.
I
I'm
let myself
sure.
feel it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like we're trained to not feel things. You know, it's like if you're angry, push it down. If you're emotional and you want to cry, don't cry. But the trick, and it's thank you for sharing so much. Then the trick is we have to feel what we're here to feel and be honest with ourselves, right? This in between, as you talked, is a difficult, weird phase, right? It's just accepting where we're at. I talk about this quite often. The spiritual journey, the first thing is really becoming aware. Becoming aware and accepting you're in the between. Becoming aware and accepting that you don't know, you have a plan for what's coming next, but when is it going to happen? It's interesting. I have a trip planned to East Coast US in the middle of October in a couple of weeks' time, and it's for a friend's wedding. And when I found out, when I was talking to Stacey about it, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, or maybe 4 or 5 before I booked any flights and stuff, I'm like, well, Stace, do you want me to put out of a couple of days? You want me to come and see you? And she's like, it's like, you crazy? I don't plan to be, I'll see you in the UK. And I was like, okay, sure. And ironically, none of us expected her to still be there. So, it just shows that this phase is just whatever we expected. We have to let go, and it's just easy for me to say. But it's like if you're in Stacey's position, creating a world which isn't going to exist at some point when she moves to the UK. I can totally relate to be uncomfortable, frustrating, and we talk quite often about finding purpose in this phase, and this is the thing. Maybe we're not going to find that purpose. Maybe this phase is all about learning to accept that wherever we are is we're meant to be. And if you're feeling impatient, you're feeling frustrated, or you feel like you're being stuck, then embrace that feeling. How is it serving you? Can you accept that there's plans happening in the background? The universe is preparing something for you. You don't know what it looks like. And the other thing we do at this phase is when we're kind of doubting ourselves and we're being more human, is we start to compare ourselves to others, which actually is the worst thing we do, because sometimes that comparison comes from seeing people on social media and seeing people and based on what they share with us, and you don't know what's happening with people behind the scenes, and everybody's different anyway. We're a soul having a human experience, so your experience is perfect for you. But again, all these words are easy. But this phase is probably the weirdest phase that we've faced. I mean, COVID was interesting when we were all in lockdown, facing uncertain futures. But a lot of that was out of our control. This feels like it should be in our control. But is it? How much control do we have over the longer term? We have control over this moment. And it's like doubts. I was just talking to a client earlier about, the doubts and the fears that we have and how they show up. And, we wonder, are we really moving forward? I wonder that all the time. It's like I feel like I've been in this holding pattern. What I mean by holding pattern is like when you're on a flight, and I travel into Heathrow all the time, so I guess I experience it all this time. But when you're on a flight and you're waiting to land, and there isn't space for you to land, you go into a holding pattern. So you circle the airport a few times and it really does feel like we're in a holding pattern, and it feels like we've been here for a while. But at the same time, this is where it's important that we do shine our light. This is where we do focus on ourselves. This is where we have to realize that actually this phase is more spiritual. Our souls have worked many lifetimes to be here at this phase. And, being patient, being present, focusing on the moment and the magic in the moment is a spiritual practice. I released a solo episode a while ago about being in a personal cocoon, and I wasn't even aware of it. And this is what's happening. We're in this phase of transition that feels like a cocoon, and we're all coming out. But it's our expectations of what our life is going to look like. I love the phrase, it's great when my plans come true, but it's even better when God's source's plans come true, because that's really what's intended for us, right? And connecting with our guides and trusting in our journey, focusing on the fact that we chose to be here, the fact that we chose to be on this path. And it's easy for me to say that, right? I mean, I was just talking to Stacey about the last couple of weeks, and my commitment to my guides, to source, is I'm going to keep showing up. And I got a feeling, a nudge, that I need to spend more time in person. So a lot of what I do is online, and I kind of had a knowing that my energy, my vibration is needed. So I have I've made a concerted effort to be more out in the human realm. And I spent 2 days at an event just last week, and it was more of a corporate type event than a spiritual event, but there was a lot of spiritual people there, and I knew I had to be there. But it's just like spending time in this human realm, and it's just an interesting phase. And the other thing to remember is everybody's going through something. Everybody's going through. So treat other people with kindness, because this phase is something you would never face before. I don't think it's the human. So humanity's gone through this sort of transition many times, shifting from divine masculine, divine feminine, but this phase feels very different. For me, it's like this phase at least started for the mass during COVID, during lockdown. There's something that opened up, giving us time to heal. And yeah, there's a lot of people that let the transition at that time, and not everybody had time to heal, but generally we were all in the same place. So with that opened a cycle. But for me, that cycle probably opened around 2018, and COVID lockdown was just part of it. But we are closing out. But it also feels longer than that. It feels like a cycle we're closing out for many, 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 many centuries. So I guess we picked this topic to remind you to be kind to yourself, to remind you are exactly where you're meant to be, to trust that you are moving forward. And even if you can't see it, trust that your guides are working in the background. And Stacey, you so beautifully talked about your story and about how you're embracing the things that have worked for you in the past, like journaling, etc. And it's like I feel like a lot of people have gone through a phase where they felt more distant from their guides, more distant from who they were, more distant. And it's like when you kind of go through rebirth, you reestablish what works for you. You reestablish your connection for you with your guides. So maybe this is a really strong message to our listeners: is take time to truly embrace this version of you. Know that he or she is new. So many people I talk to, I've lost friends, are feeling more disconnected from their blood family. Don't feel like whatever they do career-wise is related to. And it's just, this is what a transition, a rebirth look like. And a reminder that your blood family are here to expand you, not to love you. I have so many conversations recently about our family and what our expectations are of our family. It's like so many people have this expectation that our blood family should love us unconditionally. And sure, maybe they should, and that's our programming. But they're not always here to love us unconditionally. But they're definitely here to expand us, to teach us a lesson. So we're shedding layers of expectations, of programming. And that's what this in-between is serving us. I really feel like all of us have a choice. Do we transition? Do we ascend? And there's no right or wrong choice. But actually choosing to be present in the moment, choosing to embrace this moment, choosing to accept nothing's missing. Being honest with how you're feeling. And if you're feeling impatient, if you're frustrated, if you feel like being stuck, be honest with yourself. Accept this phase and know that this too shall pass. So Stacey, I know I've talked for a while, but this is something I felt a lot of that was channeled. But what anything else coming through for you in terms of what your advice would be to embrace this phase and, guiding people to accept who they are in this moment, the magic of who they are, standing in your light? Because I feel like right now, standing in your light, self-care, shining your light, treating others with kindness, all the things we talk about is so much more important now in this phase than it was before.
Yeah, and I feel like it absolutely is important, but I think there's another component to this that I think it's okay to let yourself feel whatever you're feeling too, like to give yourself space to feel that letdown or that disappointment or that discouragement or that frustration or whatever it is you're feeling. I think it's about what you do with that once you let yourself feel it. And you can let it consume you, which can happen, right? Or you can say, I only have control over myself in this moment. And I think there's another part to this. I think sometimes we can trick ourselves into thinking, I'll be happy when, like, fill in the blank. I'll be happy when I move. I'll be happy when I get that new job. I'll be happy when I find a partner. I'll be happy when we get married. I'll be happy when we have a baby. I'll be happy when we buy a house. You see what I'm saying? Like, we put these limitations on emotion, and allowing ourselves to be present and happy now is saying that it's not conditional and that we're in charge of it. And this is what I've been working on, and I've been working really hard on it. And I just want our listening audience to hear me when I say that I know that this isn't an easy thing, especially if you're somebody who's been thinking 20 steps ahead for most of your life. It's really hard, or it can be really hard, to shift gears and to do things differently. But I encourage you to open yourself up to the idea that maybe you're exactly where you're meant to be in this moment, and that what feels like a holding pattern might actually be a rebirth. And this transition might be trying to teach you something. And that's the place that I'm coming from. And it takes frequent reminders, sometimes through my writing, sometimes through friends and conversation, sometimes through the books that I'm reading. I feel like I'm at this point just trying to be really open to signs from the universe. I'm reading a book right now all about signs. And one of the things that I ask for comfort is signs from my soul family, signs from my angels and my guides. And I've been getting them. And one of them was, I wanted the symbol 555 to come through today. And when we started this, Nimesh, I don't know if you remember, you said it's 555. And so I've been asking for signs of comfort like that. And they've been
Beautiful.
coming through loud and clear. So ask for signs. While you're in this season, ask for signs from your angels and guides for comfort. There's nothing wrong with asking the universe to show off for you. If you're feeling isolated and alone, maybe that's exactly what you need, as a sign. And then I would also encourage you to be open to watching for them, listening for them, paying attention. These things have all been really helpful for me during this time and have made things feel not so uncomfortable and a little bit more like the acceptance of this is where I'm meant to be right now. And I've got to trust that the universe has my back.
So powerful, Stace. Trust and taking a leap is just because even when we ask for signs, right, we get stuck on, because I feel like our guides have jokes, right? I even feel like we get stuck on how these signs should come about. And just, if you feel like you've seen a sign, if you feel like you feel your guides, trust it. Because what happens is we get signs and it's like, no, maybe that's not really a sign. Just, it is a leap of faith. If you're asking your guides to show off you, if you're asking for a sign, be open to coming in so many different ways. It may come through the numbers like 555. It may come through, while Stacey was talking, I looked at, just knows the time, and it was 1818, 24-hour clock kind of, so, it's like whenever I mention the 24-hour clock, Stacey always thinks of military time for some reason. But, just allow your guides to show off and be magical. And, maybe this comes in, seeing an eagle or, whatever, I like, for example, stepping in the garden, just hearing the wind and just feeling nature and feeling the magic of, because this is an interesting time. And we're being asked to take a leap of faith without knowing whatever's coming next. And for the human in us, that's really hard, because we like to plan, even if we say we're open and we don't. We like to know a little bit about what's coming next, whoever we are. So it is an uncomfortable feeling for most. Maybe some are excited by it. And there's definitely a part of me that's excited by it, but there's also a part of me that wants to know what it looks like. Because I feel like the shift the planet's going through is like, the planet's going to look like so different than what we expected. And I don't even know what that means. It's just a feeling. But Stacey has so powerfully said, accepting who you are and feeling the magic and doing all the right things for you is so, so important right now. We're recording this in between eclipses, and it'll be released after the eclipse season's finished. But I still feel like this is a super transitional phase. I just feel different energetically. But, kind of journaling, like, for example, journaling about who are you without your old identity? Who are you in this version of you? Doing grounding, connecting with nature. And Stacey, I feel like we should do a grounding near the end. So I feel like I'll do a quick process. But so if you're listening, make sure you listen to the end. But, doing grounding and meditation, journaling, doing daily rituals of walking barefoot on grass. If the weather's changing for you, then doing meditations. But if the grass is wet, still walk on it. What does it matter? But just, if you live near water, then cleanse your energy. If you can walk on sand on beaches, do that. And just stay grounded. But even if you can't get outside, then do grounding meditations. Visualize it. You have the power of visualization. You have to actually be there to feel it. You close your eyes and just imagine walking on the beach, walking on the grass, barefoot, feel your connection. This is a powerful time for you to truly accept you. It's for me, it's a phase where it's about us individually truly shining our light, but also looking for communities that support us. And, just, we have a monthly Zoom full moon healing webinar, and, obviously there's a podcast. There's so much that we do that you could reach out to, but there's so many other communities. Asking for help, asking for support is a superpower, is a gift. But what if this phase is a beautiful phase? What if you're feeling uncomfortable, but this is a phase that your soul's been excited for and been working for many, many lifetimes? And by the way, if you need help, reach out to us. Maybe you're ready for mentorship from us. We've talked a bit about that at the beginning. We'd love to hold your space. Book a free discovery call. Maybe it's time for you to book an Akashic record reading to understand the karma you brought into this world, your purpose in this world. There's no guarantees, but we guide you to truly connect with your guides and receive a message that you need. For me, this is a beautiful time, and maybe I sound a bit crazy, but my commitment is just I'm going to keep showing up, whatever that looks like, wherever I'm sent, I'm going to keep showing up, because it is a transitional phase. And it's like Stacey was talking about, so many of us are waiting. It's like, once I understand my purpose, my destiny, we can talk about the human stuff I'm married in, but once I understand my purpose, the one purpose I'm here for, then I'll truly embrace it. Well, one, what if you're here for multiple purposes? And two, what if you're experiencing so many moments of magic that once you put it all together, that's the big epiphany? What if your destiny isn't the one thing and you've got to embrace this version of you? And, beauty, perfection takes time. So what if your guides are preparing something for you that is just amazing that even you can't, but you have to embrace this version of you? But also recognize the subtle shifts. Ask for subtle shifts and signs, synchronicities. It's like meeting people. You're like, wait, hold on. That's so cool. I met this person. I wasn't planning to, and all this sort of stuff. But the other thing is letting go of those relationships that no longer serve. This is such a beautiful time if we can embrace it. And it sounds crazy for me to say that. Even when I say it out loud, I'm like, really? There's a human in me. It's like, wait, hold on. You want me to get excited about not knowing what's coming next? My deal is I'm just going to keep showing up. And what if you do the same? What if your deal with your guys is I'm just going to keep showing up in wherever I'm saying, but follow the nudges. So if you feel like somebody comes into your world and they belong, follow that nudge. If somebody comes into your world and they don't feel right, follow that nudge. If things that used to excite you, like journaling, and you started again, doesn't excite you, then do something different. Record yourself a voice note. Have a conversation in the mirror. But have fun. Why does this phase need to be so serious? But experience what you want to experience. If you're feeling emotional, feel emotional. If you get angry, but don't take it out on others, shouting to a pillow. If you want to laugh, laugh. Laughter's so healing. There's no rush. Nothing is missing. Whatever's for you will find you. Whatever's not for you will miss you. And I get asked the question all the time. It's like, well, hold on. Can I miss my destiny? I don't feel like this journey is linear. Wherever you're meant to go, I feel like you'll find. But how you get there is where free will comes in. But what if the message for you today is truly to embrace who you are? What if it's not about where you're going, it's about the journey to get there? So many people say that it's the path, it's the experience, it's the fun. It's the things that you pick up along the way that's really, really what this is about. So Stacey, I'm going to ask you for journal prompts as we close out. And I do feel like closing out and with the process, but I want to ask you any journal prompts or anything you have before we jump into a quick process.
So as far as prompts go, I'm thinking about being present and in the moment. And so I would encourage you to check in with yourself first and see, are you present in this moment? Are you anticipating 20 steps ahead, or are you present in this moment? And first answer that question. Okay. And then what is holding you back from embracing happiness now? And just see what comes up. Remember how we were talking about happiness as a state of being, and we can choose how we're showing up. I just want you to take a deep dive into seeing how you're showing up. And if you're allowing yourself the space to embrace what is right now, instead of having expectations or anticipating what's coming next. If you aren't already writing, this is a great place to start and a great time to start. If it's not writing, some other form of documenting your journey is a great way to help you unpack some of the lessons that are coming your way. So take some time out and explore and see what comes up.
Beautiful. Thanks, Stace. And, before we start recording, I had no plans to do any process or anything. So let's see what comes through. So if you're in a position to, if you're driving, obviously concentrate on the road. But if you are in a position to, I'd recommend just stopping and being present, closing your eyes if you can. Taking a deep breath in and a breath out. Taking another deep breath in and a breath out. And just allow yourself to be present in the moment. Feel your breath, feel your energy, feel your vibration. Feel the love that's inside you, the love that's around you. From here, just imagine you're barefoot, standing in grass. Feel the grass underneath your feet. Feel your connection to the ground. Feel your connection to Gaia. Imagine and visualize roots coming from your feet into the ground. Feel how held you are. Feel how protected you are. And from this space, just see the world around you. See it from the outside, as if you're watching it. Look at your world. What can you be grateful for? What can you be proud of? If you could be present in this moment, what do you feel? How held do you feel? How powerful do you feel? How loved do you feel? From this space, I call in our guides, our soul family, any ascended masters, any archangels, any high-level beings. I ask them to form a circle around us. In this space, I ask you to open yourself up to feel that energy around you. Feel how held you are. And from this space, I ask our guides to show up and show off. I ask them to give us signs of synchronicity, of magic, to give us glimpses of what's coming in to hold our space. I ask us to commit to be present, to accept whatever messages come through and whatever synchronicities, magic our guides want to share. We accept them in whatever way they come. I ask our guides to nudge us along, to hold our space, continue to do that. I ask us to commit to be present in the moment, to feel the magic in the moment. Let's take a moment just to feel the energy around you. Accept you are exactly where you're meant to be. Accept this version of you and feel how powerful you are. Knowing that you're exactly where you're meant to be. Knowing that you're needed, you're wanted, and you're a powerful being, and your light is so important. And whenever you're ready, come back into your body, committing to remember this journey, committing to be present in your journey, to not be waiting for anything, to be present and know that magic is already here. Let's take a deep breath in. Then whenever you're ready, open your eyes. How did that feel, Stacey?
I love it when you do your processes. And I don't know how you do it. Like, I know you channel it, but I just don't know how. It's like you just come up with something on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, I always have an intention. My intention was for us to be present, and then however that comes through, I don't even know. But
Well done.
thank you thank you for everyone that's been listening. I really hope we inspired you to be present, to feel the magic. This in between is not wasted. It really does feel like a sacred time. As you let go of the old version of you, let the new version be born, take shape. Even if it feels uncertain, be scary. Be honest with how you feel. Be patient with yourselves. Honor your emotions. Honor your pain. Honor everything you're going through. And remember, there's nothing to rush. You're a soul having a human experience. The whole thing is to embrace and be human. But it's when you're present, you truly understand and feel the magic. The 555s of the world, the birds, and hearing nature and hearing the wind, and it's only when you're present you can feel that magic. With every breath, every choice, every act of being present, you're already living into your purpose. What if you're already exactly where you're meant to be? What if this space in between is truly magical? Stacey, thank you for sharing this space with me as always. Thank you for holding my space, and I love everything you share and how vulnerable you are, and how kind of whatever we talk about seems to be super appropriate for you every time. Sending everyone so much love and light. And Stacey, I'll hand over to you to close us out.
Another powerful episode. I'm so grateful for this space and the opportunity that we have to not only pour into our audience, but to process what we're going through on a deeper level ourselves. It has been such an incredible journey, and I'm very grateful for this space. Thank you to all of our listeners for being a part of this space with us. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And just as we close, I just remind, if we can help you, send us a DM. If there's any information you want to share, if there's any ideas of topics you want us to cover, we'd love hearing from you. If this podcast does resonate, please do like, comment, share. That really does help get the podcast to as many more people. And sending you the biggest hug, sending you so much love and light. Thank you. Bye for now.